Hey, we're live.
I was hoping that you would continue, but you stopped and took a drink, and I was sad.
That's not cool.
That's great. Oh, howdy, y'all. We're a minute early because I wanted to troll Maddie some and didn't.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Epic titties.
yeah. Anyway, so we're going to continue our series on
Epictetus.
Epictetus. On Epictetus Enchiridion, and we have a couple of new people in the audience. Hi, thank you for subscribing and joining us today.
The most amazing part about this book is it's like 96 pages long, and we're in like the third month.
Yeah, that is the best part. Hi, Nacha. So anyway, if you're new to this, we're not even halfway through, but we're getting on, right?
Getting on them epic titties.
Getting on them titties. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with Epictetus, Epictetus.
Epictetus.
If you're not familiar with Epictetus, it's a Stoic philosopher. He was also a slave, had a very, very difficult life, and he had a lot of wisdom to offer in regard to how to live a good life, how to achieve eudaimonia, which is the Stoic principle of happiness. So, yeah. Do you want to show yourself?
I am just Maddie from the Objectively Subjective channel. You should subscribe to me, and you should become a patron of mine, and you should send me money at my Streamlabs account, streamlabs.com/objectively subjective, because I'm broke and I need money, and money's good, but no, money's bad because I don't know. I'm me.
You're not a cynic, that's for damn sure.
No.
Because the cynics would be like, I don't need your stick of money.
I don't want to live in a barrel.
Yeah, I prefer the barrel-less life. I like living in a house and paying rent. So yes. Yeah, send them money.
It's your money, and I need it now.
Oh my goodness. So, without further ado, we are going to just get on with it, right? All right, so we're on section 46 now. Never call yourself a philosopher.
McRae.
Let me finish, and then we can talk about McRae.
Okay, go ahead.
McRae. Okay.
Go ahead.
Never call yourself a philosopher, nor talk a great deal among the unlearned about theorems, but act comfortably to them. Thus, at an entertainment, don't talk about how persons ought to eat, but eat as you ought. For remember that in this manner, Socrates also universally avoided all ostentation. When persons came to him and desired to be recommended by him to philosophers, he took and recommended them. So well did he bear being overlooked, so that if ever any talk should happen among the unlearned concerning philosophical theorems, be you, for the most part, silent.
McRae.
For there is a great danger in immediately throwing out what you have not digested. And if someone tells you you know nothing, and you're not nettled at all at it, then you may be sure that you have begun your business. For sheep don't throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten, but inwardly digest their food. They outwardly produce wool and milk. Thus, therefore, do you likewise, and not show theorems to the unlearned, but the actions produced by them after they have been digested. So basically, we're stating, hey, you might know some things, but don't be a show off.
Don't act like a pompous ass.
Yeah.
Don't go around talking about how much like how great of a philosophical mind you have.
Yeah, and definitely don't go around calling people inept just because they don't understand these theorems.
Yeah.
That's a
Sorry.
very
I had a frog in my throat. It kept making me say a weird name during that. It was just a sound. It's a sound that I make when I almost throw up. It's
was it a McCroak?
McCroak, yes.
McCroak.
From my McLobster.
But yeah, I mean, basically, whenever you're digesting philosophical texts, which is what you're doing, you're not trying to make yourself seem more, learned and euridic and stuff like that. You're doing it to improve yourself and improve not only the value of your life, but also how you present what you have learned to the community. And this, in my opinion, is wisdom. Like anybody can know things. Well, pretty much anybody, but you can know all kinds of shit. But if you don't know how to apply that knowledge, what good is it? And that's where I think the principle of wisdom comes in, or the virtue of wisdom.
Yeah, like it said in the chat, don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
All I know is that I don't know. All I know is that I don't know nothing.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, that's essentially what Socrates said, isn't it? That
yep.
The one thing I do know is that I know nothing. So, yeah. Anyway. Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was done.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah.
When you have brought yourself to
to cough.
Yes. When you have brought yourself to supply the necessities of your body at a small price, don't pique yourself upon it. Nor, if you drink water, be saying upon every occasion, I drink water. But first consider how much more sparing and patient of hardship the poor are than we. But if at any time you would inure yourself by exercise to labor and bearing hard trials, do it for your own sake and not for the world. Don't grasp statues, but when you are violently thirsty, take a little water in your mouth and spit it out and tell nobody. So what this section here is talking about is a lot of times people will do things that'll build themselves up, like, oh, you know what, I don't drink alcohol, I just have water. And what it's saying here is be like a poor person. A poor person can't drink alcohol because they can't afford it, so they of course drink water. So it's nothing special that you're abstaining from alcohol and having water.
Yeah.
And it says, if you want to be a real philosopher and you want to put yourself through a true trial, wait until you're dying of thirst and then take some water into your mouth and spit it out. And then tell no one that you did that.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of will do things in order to make them seem like they're more philosophical or more what do you call it? Pious, for lack of a better term. I'm better than you because I do this and that and I abstain. But really, that's just a slap in the face to people that can't afford to live in such luxury. So I think this speaks also not only to wisdom, but also to the moderation portion.
Yeah, and it's saying, like, if you skip dessert, don't prop yourself up and say, oh, I've done such a great thing, I skipped dessert, because there's tons of poor people out there that go without dessert because they can't afford it.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, like, this isn't a portion of Stoicism that I necessarily agree with. I think, at least for me, whenever I achieve something, I don't give myself enough credit.
Well, but that's not saying don't give yourself credit. It's saying don't
be prideful,
be pompous and prideful, about it, because then you're just nullifying why you did it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I have very little pride at all, so it's something that I have to work for, and that's what the idea of moderation is all about. It's about finding balance.
Right? As the most humble person on earth, I will say that I agree with you.
Of course. All right. The condition and characteristic of a vulgar person is that he never expects neither benefit or hurt from himself, but from externals. The condition and characteristic of a philosopher is that he expects all hurt and benefit from himself. The marks of the proficient are that he censures no one, praises no one, blames no one, excuses no one, says nothing concerning himself as anybody or knowing anything. When he is, in any instance, hindered or restrained, he accuses himself, and if he is praised, he secretly laughs at the person who praises him. And if he is censured, makes no defense. But he goes about with the caution of sick or injured people, dreading to move anything that is set right before it is perfectly fixed. He suppresses all desire in himself. He transfers his aversion to those things only which thwart the purpose of our own faculty of choice. The exertion of his active powers toward anything is very gentle. If he appears stupid or ignorant, he does not care, and in a word, he watches himself as an enemy and one in ambush. This is very powerful shit right here.
Yeah, but the real message is in the very first line.
Yeah, definitely.
That everyone wants to find someone to blame for the issues in their life. And oftentimes, more often than not, it's things that we've done, that we've put ourselves through, that have caused some of the pain. Now, that's not saying that someone can't hurt you, but a lot of times we do things to ourselves. Like you stay in a bad relationship.
Right.
Well, it was your choice to stay in that bad relationship. And the longer you were in it, the worse it got. And you eventually got out. Well, then you're just looking for an excuse of why did I stay in that bad relationship? Well, because, I liked their mom or stuff like that. And so then the blame goes to the mom. If the mom hadn't been so nice, I would have gotten out of that relationship years ago.
Right. And it kind of speaks to a lot of the stuff that we were talking about when it comes to, can I control my audience?
Mm-hmm.
And all of that. Well, of course you can to an extent, right? You can control the kind of content you create. You can moderate the chat. You can blah, blah, blah. So you can't just put it all on the audience.
It's not my fault that I didn't read any of the relevant science before I made a video. That's your fault for not telling me before I made the video.
Yeah, well, I just need to get thick skin. And motherfucker, you had a bunch of people come to you and give you citations. You didn't even bother.
I don't know what I was hypothetical. What are you talking about?
We just derailed ourselves.
I was being completely hypothetical there.
It was just hyperbole.
Yes.
So
we have Kevin Logan in the chat.
Hi, Kevin.
Which means we have to put out a quality
thing
today.
Oh my. That's I'm trying. I can only do what is within my control to do.
And I can't even do that.
Well, you can read the next paragraph.
I would, but I skipped dinner.
Come on.
When anyone shows himself overtly confident in ability to understand and interpret the works of Chrysippus, say to yourself, unless Chrysippus had written obscurely, this person would have no subject for his vanity. But what do I desire? To understand nature and follow her? I ask then, who interprets her? And finding Chrysippus does, I have recourse to him. I don't understand his writings. I seek, therefore, one to interpret them. So far, there is nothing to value upon myself. And when I find an interpreter, what remains is to make use of his instructions. This alone is a valuable thing. But if I admire nothing but merely the interpretation, what do I become more than a grammarian instead of a philosopher? Except, indeed, that instead of Homer, I interpret Chrysippus. When anyone therefore desires me to read Chrysippus to him, I rather blush when I cannot show my actions agreeable and consonant to his discourse.
So basically what we're saying is, and I see this happen a lot. People will create their own narrative that means something totally different than what the author or the presenter meant, right? So, I mean, this is what I gather from this. What about you?
Pretty much, yeah. Unless you were the person that actually wrote the book. So a lot of times you'll be in an ancient literature class, and someone will say, well, what Homer here was meaning is this. And what that person is referring to is an interpretation of Homer, which is probably a reinterpretation of Homer from years ago, which is also another interpretation of Homer that's happened throughout the centuries.
Right.
And unless you're Homer himself, you have absolutely only a chance at getting the actual interpretation of what was meant in a particular passage.
Right. And this
so
is
don't be overly confident in your own abilities.
Yeah, it's kind of like a good example of this is Nietzsche, right? Because I mean, Nietzsche was used to justify some atrocious things, right?
We're on Nietzsche, people. It's going to be a while.
No, but my point is, even when I read Nietzsche and I go back, or like I come to a conclusion about what I have just read, I'll go back and read the text again and have a totally different view than my previous one. So this is one good thing about philosophical text is you can go back and gain some kind of additional meaning than the one you initially gotten, especially at different periods of your life, because we, of course, look at things differently as we mature.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so I used Homer earlier, but let's go with the Bible.
Oh, shit. No.
There's hundreds at least, if not thousands of interpretations of the Bible and what it supposedly meant. For each and every denomination out there, they have their own interpretation and their own dogmas and doctrines based on it. Which one is correct?
Right, indeed.
We can't say.
Yeah, we can never say, what it was in the mind of Homer or Nietzsche or whoever the fuck wrote whichever passage of the Bible that you're reading. So, yeah.
So it goes with philosophers as well. We can read the Stoics, but since we don't exist in that time period, in that culture, in that mind, we can only, so this book isn't actually even written by Epictetus. This was a student that wrote down notes when Epictetus was talking.
Right.
So did he write them all down correctly? We don't know.
Who can say?
Who can say? All we can do is go with what we find from this and say, I'm a bush, I'm a bush, I'm a deadly, deadly bush.
That's the actual story of the burning bush.
Yes.
Just so you know. It was burning because it was deadly and angry. Yes. All right. So, whatever moral rules you have deliberately proposed to yourself, abide by them as if they were laws, and as if you would be guilty of impiety by violating any of them. Don't regard what anyone says of you, for this, after all, is no concern of yours. How long, then, will you put off thinking yourself worthy of the highest improvements and follow the distinctions of reason? You have received the philosophical theorems, with which you ought to be familiar, and have been familiar with them. What other master, then, do you wait for to throw upon the decay of reforming yourself? You are no longer a boy, but a grown man, or you're no longer a child, but an adult, to be inclusive. Anyway, if therefore you will be negligent and slothful, and always add procrastination to procrastination, purpose to purpose, and fix day after day in which you will attend to yourself, you will insensibly continue without proficiency, and, living and dying, persevere in being one of the vulgar. This instant, then, think yourself worthy of living as a man grown up and a proficient. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law. And if any instance of pain or pleasure, or glory or disgrace is set before you, remember that now is the combat. Now the Olympiad comes on, nor can be put off. By once being defeated and given away, proficiency is lost, or by the contrary, preserved. Thus Socrates became perfect, improving himself by everything, attending to nothing but reason. And though you were not yet a Socrates, you ought, however, to live as one desirous of becoming a Socrates.
Okay, so this is one that I am big on. This is probably one of the most important ones, at least to me, in the Enchiridion. And what this states is, if you set out for yourself a set of ethics or a set of morals that you want to stick to, then in your mind, place these ethics and morals in the same place that you would place, say, the law against murder.
Yes.
And stick to that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go back and say, okay, well, I set it out that it was ethical that I would not eat meat, and I'm having a lot of issues with this. So should I change this? You can change it as you go if you need to.
Yeah. Upon new information.
But if you set out that you have a code of ethics, then stick to that code of ethics.
Yeah, damn it.
Don't just break them because
it's convenient.
A more popular friend says something awful.
Preach. Oh my God. Yeah, I think it's very important that we do. I mean, what's the point of principles if you don't live by them, if you don't stick to them, if you don't live them completely? And I mean, I myself fail in this regard a lot of times, but recognition of that failure helps. It serves as a reminder that this is important enough for me to abide by. And I think it is important to persevere in that. And whenever it comes to the whole pure reason thing, I don't think that anybody could achieve any kind of sort of pure reason kind of thing either.
No.
And I also think that there has to be moderation in this as well, because if you're looking at things with cold reasoning kind of framework, then you're not going to have the type of empathy and things for other human beings. And that's one thing that is highlighted by the Stoics in their I'm a cosmopolitan. I am a citizen of the universe. Therefore, it is my duty, it's my imperative to make sure to take care of other human beings and live by these principles because of that. So that's what I kind of like about the whole Stoic philosophy.
Well, and going with this at the end, it says, even if you're not Socrates, live as if you're desiring to be Socrates. This time, most of the philosophical schools were based around Platonism, around Plato, and they all saw Socrates as the ultimate philosopher that they would strive to be like. The Stoics were slightly different than most schools in that they saw Socrates as an archetype.
Right.
And something that you will never obtain. The Stoics almost treated Socrates as if the real Socrates didn't exist, it doesn't matter, because these are just ideals that we're working towards.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It does. It's kind of like when you strive to be, when you're a Christian, if you follow that, it's like striving to be Christ-like. You're never going to achieve, a sinless quote unquote life, but it's good to at least strive to abandon as many vices as you can and embrace as many virtues as you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm going to let you read the next one because my throat is scratchy.
So what you're saying is we should be Epicureans. I mean, no. If that's your thing, then I'm not going to kink shame.
I don't like bean curds. I mean, I like cheese, but I don't like bean curds all that much.
Oh my God. Anyways, okay. So
the Epicureans ate cheese and lots of bean curds. Okay,
I know.
That's what they ate.
I know. I do like cheese. Probably not that much, but cheese! Okay. The first and most necessary topic in philosophy is that of the use of moral theorems, such as, we ought not to lie. The second is that of demonstrations, such as, What is the origin of our obligation not to lie? The third gives strength and articulation to the other two, such as, what is the origin of this is a demonstration. For what is demonstration? What is consequence? What contradiction? What truth? What falsehood? The third topic, then, is necessary on the account of the second, and the second on the account of the first. But the most necessary, and whereon we ought to rest, is the first. But we act just on the contrary, for we spend all of our time on the third topic, and employ all of our diligence about that, entirely neglecting the first. Therefore, at the same time that we lie, we are immediately prepared to show how it is demonstrated that lying is not right.
Okay, so this is kind of a call against consequentialism.
Yes.
In a way. It's saying the first thing that people think of is not I shouldn't lie or why shouldn't I lie, but it's what's the consequence going to happen if I lie?
Right.
And the Stoics believe that we should set in our minds why it's a good thing, why it's a bad thing to lie, why or that lying is a bad thing, why lying is a bad thing, and then what are the consequences of lying?
Yeah.
So
I think for me, like one of the most annoying of questions is the ontological kind of question. What is the origin of our obligation not to lie? I mean, it's kind of axiomatic. It's kind of obvious. It's kind of like, well, if you give a fuck about other human beings and you yourself know that it is not something that you desire to be lied to, then it's an easy question to answer. But for one thing, I do want to point out that I am mostly a consequentialist. So.
And I am not.
I do. It's kind of odd because I internalize the virtues. I find them something that I want to strive for. But at the same time, whenever I'm weighing what could possibly be potential outcomes, I think of the consequences. And usually the consequences that I think of have to be in line with those virtues in order for me to establish what I ought to do. So it's kind of a mixture. And I was trying to explain this to Callan the other day, and I'm pretty sure that it didn't make any sense. But yeah, does it make sense to you?
No.
No? Okay. Well.
I mean, kind of. It kind of makes sense to me, but it's not the way I go about it.
I think that most people kind of automatically do this, right?
Probably.
At least if you have time to contemplate an action, then that is pretty much what you do. You weigh it out and you think, okay, well, what will happen if I tell my wife that she looks fat in that dress?
Mm-hmm.
What are the consequences of that? Hey, we might not ought to lie, but should we? I think the consequences mostly matter, but that's just me.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, and
Callan, I don't agree with you, but I hear you.
I think Callan's right. Virtue ethics encompasses both perspectives, and I agree with that. I think it's a lot more complex than consequences manning the garage. Exactly. But anyway, do you want to continue on?
We can do one more, but I don't. Actually, that's all we have, and we're done. So,
okay.
Upon all occasions, stop.
I'm sorry.
Upon all occasions, we ought to have these maxims ready at hand. Conduct me, Jove, and you, O destiny, wherever your decrees have fixed my stations. Cleanthes. I will follow cheerfully, and did I not, wicked and wretched, I must follow still. Whoever yields properly to fate is deemed wise among men and knows the laws of heaven. And this third, O Credo, if it pleases the gods, lest that it be, Anytus and Miletus may kill me indeed, but hurt me they cannot. So this last little section is 3 different quotes from 3 different books. And And all it is saying is whatever happens, take it as it comes.
Indeed.
And that's really like one of the big things for Stoicism is learning to live with things as they are.
Definitely.
And seeing what you can actually control. So that last one there, someone might kill you, but
What can
what's
you
it
do?
really to you? What can you do?
You can't do anything about it. I do want to leave off on this last note in light of what was just said. I would like for everybody in the audience and everybody that listens to this in the future, hopefully, I would like for y'all to contemplate just how much time you spend worrying about things you have no control over.
Yep.
And what could you do better with that time? Because you only have a limited amount of time on Earth, and you don't know when you're going to die, but you are. It's inevitable. There's 100% mortality rate for everyone. Right? So
we all going to be dead someday.
In my opinion, time is our most precious commodity. It really is. And if you're wasting your time worried about things that you cannot control, then you're depriving yourself of time that could be spent doing wise things, doing things that are important to you, doing things that help other people. And so, yeah, I think this text is one of the best Stoic texts that there is. And I do recommend that everybody also go ahead and read it for yourself, see what you can gain from reading the text even after we've gone over it and everything else. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we've missed, and there's a lot of stuff that you personally can gain from reading philosophical text, something that I or Maddie or anyone else can't give to you. So, yeah, you want to talk about time well spent? Reading philosophical text is time well spent. It enriches your life. It enriches your way of thinking, and it enriches the way that you live in society.
I just want to point out that this is an old website because you can buy CD-ROMs. When was the last time you saw something referred to as a CD-ROM?
Oh my God, early 90s?
Yeah. So what are we reading next?
I haven't decided yet. Maybe
my book?
Your book? Which book is
that big book that you had me buy?
I'm confused.
Civilization, something. I can't remember the name of the book right now.
Oh, Civilization and Its Enemies.
Yes.
The Karl Popper book.
Yes.
We can't read the whole book, but we could probably go over a chapter or two. And
why can't we read the whole book?
Well, I mean, we can't read the whole book on a Hangout, but we obviously will read the book. But I think that it would be good to read a few chapters and then come here and give a nice summary and, explain our thoughts on what we've read. And hopefully that'll encourage more people to read this stuff.
Yes, or we could do the Myth of Sisyphus. You wanted to do that.
Oh, I can't wait to do the Myth of Sisyphus.
Let's do that one next.
I would love to do that. I think everybody needs absurdism in their life. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to end this here, and we are going to have an after party. If you would like to join, go ahead and send me a message on, I think most of y'all are on Twitter. I'm also going to be posting the...
Hold on, I have to do this because of what Jen Morgan just said.
Well, I wasn't done.
Oh, Credo, if it thus pleases gods, thus let it be. Anytus and Meletus may kill me indeed, but hurt me they cannot.
Oh my God. That's funny. Thank you, Jen, for that. That was funny. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm also going to be posting the join link on Patreon. So if you're a patron of mine, of course, you'll get the link right there. And yeah, thank you all for beholding our epic titties.
Much love I give you.
See y'all in a few minutes. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.